Hey everyone, it's Pokemon Presents Day. Happy Pokemon Presents Day, I guess. These are like Nintendo Directs, aren't they? But just kind of only Pokemon, and it's always never really that many big announcements. They saved that specifically for Pokemon Day, so I'm not expecting this to be a huge epoch-making thing, but still, it's the first Pokemon Presents presentation of the Switch 2's life, and therefore the first of my channel too. So I'm going to cover it, just like I did with the Donkey Kong Direct, but I'm not expecting to be quite as overwhelmed with positivity as I was with the Donkey Kong Direct. But I am expecting more games and more things to talk about. Right now, I'm recording this live as I watch the DJ Pikachu Set. I've got to say, it's really cute. He's killing it so far. However, I'm just recording my microphone from this and not the music, partially because I don't want a copyright strike, but also I don't think that it will be particularly interesting for people to listen back to me saying or going silent as I try and think of things to say to fill the whole kind of half an hour of what's going on during this DJ set. So I will just record my microphone and then edit it down, cutting out the most awkward bits. The only thing that I will keep 100% live is the reaction to the presentation itself. And if you are watching on YouTube, you will be able to see the video of the presents itself in sync with what I'm saying, so you can see what I'm reacting to. And maybe I'll have the audio of that quiet in the background, and hopefully it won't get struck. So what are my predictions for today? Apparently it's going to be 24 minutes long, which is longer than usual for these presentations. So that could be a good sign. That could be exciting. But I don't think we should get our hopes up too high, especially as Switch 2 fans. I don't think we're going to get any Switch 2 announcements, really. The obvious thing to hope for is a Gen 10 reveal, but I absolutely don't think that's going to happen today. I think they want to concentrate on Legends Z-A first, and Gen 10... Look, next year is the 30th anniversary of Pokemon. So it would make a lot more sense to wait until next year. And right now they'll concentrate on getting Legends Z-A out the way. So I'm not expecting a Gen 10 reveal. If there is, that'll be crazy. But I really don't think we're going to get that. What else could we possibly get in this 24 minutes? Well, presumably we will get some Legends Z-A. We'll learn more about that. And I'm excited for that because I recently did a video where I talked about my top 10 my top 10 games that I'm most looking forward to on the Switch 2, and Legends Z-A is in there because I really enjoyed Legends Arceus. I thought Arceus? I thought that was a great game, and frankly I actually really liked the battle system in that game, and I actually kind of hoped that would be how mainline Pokemon games would work from that moment on, but it wasn't. But the open world-ness, did transfer over a little bit into what was it, Scarlet and Violet, the most recent. We're gonna have a lot of mobile game stuff, aren't we? And I'm not a mobile gamer, especially not anything kind of freemium, free to play, microtransactions, etc. It's just, nothing against that if you're into it, but for me, that's just not my style of gaming. I only really care about stuff that's on the Switch or the Switch 2. But I have heard that some of the mobile games are going to be coming to Switch, and therefore presumably Switch 2. I know there's Champions, isn't there? So we'll probably see some of that, and there's a rumor that I heard, although I haven't really looked into it because I thought, no, I'll wait for the the presents to learn more if it turned out to be true. But there's a rumor of some kind of puzzle game thing that's available for both Switch and mobile. So that'll be interesting to see if that's announced. I imagine that we might get Pokemon Coliseum and XD Gale of Darkness, is it? The GameCube, the two GameCube games, they've basically been confirmed for the Switch Online GameCube, haven't they? But we just don't know a date, so it would make sense if they were here and maybe they shadow drop. But again, I'm not guaranteeing it because, again, it would actually make sense to hold them for next year and do a big kind of 30th anniversary celebration where we do loads of games every month. So it would make sense to hold them as well. So I'm not sure on whether we'll get them or not. If we do, it'll probably be a shadow drop, but I don't know. Obviously, it's not going to be all games either. There will be something non-game related. We've got animation stuff, haven't we? Was it Pokémon Concierge, which is adorable. I love everything about that. And I think Aardman announced they were doing something with Pokemon as well, didn't they? I adore Aardman, the Wallace and Gromit and Shaun the Sheep Company and everything else. Hopefully, maybe we'll hear something about that. I don't know. Other than that, I don't know. Probably merchandise. There's always merchandise, isn't there? It's Pokemon. There'll probably be something trading card as well related. But yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much my my predictions. As you might be able to tell, I'm not a big expert on Pokemon. Although I have spent hundreds of hours playing Pokemon games, and I do, own a lot of Pokemon merch and plushies and things. Basically, my history with Pokemon is I really got into the first gen Pokemon, as I think everybody at the time did. But like fully, I had Pokemon Blue, and I 100%ed it, just completely filled the Pokédex and trained every Pokemon up to the top level, etc. And, traded to get the full Pokédex, and I was just obsessed with it. And I had Pokémon Stadium for the N64, and I played Pokemon Blue through the transfer pack on the TV, because I just thought it was so neat that my Pokemon could then be on TV and 3D. And that's how I played in my bedroom. And then I had a DMG Game Boy to carry around while I was waiting for buses and things to train up my Pokemon. So I was like full on obsessed. And at that time, it was maybe going a bit personal here, but it was at a time when my parents were divorcing, and my mum had moved out, and I was still in the house with my dad, and evidently my mum felt, really guilty about what was happening. And so she said to me, like, what do you want for Christmas? And in my head, I was thinking, oh, well, I know that Mum doesn't have very much money at the moment because she's living separately and things are awkward right now. And I thought, what can I say that's cheap and it's going to be easy for her to find? And at the time, I was really into Pokemon, so I was just like, if you can find like a Pikachu plushie, like a cuddly Pikachu, that would be cool. But don't worry, you don't have to get me anything, And she did get me a Pikachu. And she told me years later that because Pokemon was so popular at the time, unbeknownst to me, that was actually what I thought was going to be a really cheap and really easy thing to get was actually super difficult. And she traveled around going to like every single shop and traveled hundreds of miles trying to find a Pikachu, especially for me, because she'd got it into her head that, I feel so guilty about this situation, and Sam's going to be really sad, and if this is the one thing that he's asked for to cheer him up, so I've got to make sure that I can find this Pikachu. And so she went on a real mission trying to find this Pikachu, and probably cost herself a lot of money and a lot of heartache and many hours. And I felt really guilty afterwards when I found that out, because I was like, I said that because I thought it would be an easy thing for you to find. Sorry. But I obviously love that Pikachu. I don't have it anymore, but that's because my own kids became big Pokemon fans later on, and so he got passed down as an inheritance. So he's still part of the family. But as I said, I completely 100%ed my Pokédex, and just played it to death. Pokemon Stadium 1 I absolutely loved as well as a party game. It's like often, people came around to the house. Like, I was a teenager at the time, so people come around for a few beers or whatever. Some great times playing the multiplayer games, the party games on Pokemon Stadium. They were absolutely hilarious. And we got a very confused parent come around once because somebody brought their little sister, and then the little sister went home and said that they'd been playing the Lickytongue game with the boys, and the parent was very confused, and then came back and saw that actually, it was that was a Pokemon Stadium thing, not something inappropriate. So that was pretty funny, and I always think about that whenever I hear Lickytongue. I think, yeah, that was a funny moment of us having to diffuse the situation with the confused and concerned parent. But after becoming so obsessed with Pokemon Blue and Red, evidently, I kind of got burnt out. And even by the time Pokemon Yellow existed, I was like, yeah, that's cool and all. And by that point, I'd bought a Game Boy Color, and I was like, yeah, but I don't feel like playing it again just to get the color features and have a Pikachu following me around. It's cool that it's like the anime, but I don't know. I'm kind of burnt out on Pokemon now because I played it so much to 100% that Pokédex. But then I told this story in my WWE review, but I don't know which is going to go up first, my WWE review or this. So I'll just briefly mention it again. I was dating a girl, and trying to impress her. Trying to become, almost like part of the family. I used to go around her house all the time, at dinner with her parents, that kind of thing. And she had a younger brother, and I was trying to make friends with the younger brother, so kind of, I'm part of the family, And it didn't really work, by the way, as I said in my WWE review. But I did ingratiate myself with the younger brother quite well by regularly buying him whatever the latest video games were that he wanted. And he was a big fan of Pokemon, and I imported Pokemon Gold and Silver from the States before they were released in Europe, so that he could be the talk of the playground by having Pokemon Gold before any of his classmates did. And so I gave him Gold and I kept Silver, and then we could play together and trade together. So even though I'd originally not planned on getting back into Pokemon, I did also basically 100% the Pokédex in Silver as well. I don't think in fact, I'm sure I didn't train them all up as fully as I had in Blue, but I did fill the Pokédex. And I got Stadium 2 as well, for similar reasons, because I wanted the minigames, and B, I wanted to battle my Pokemon through the transfer pack. That was to me, that was a pretty cool feature at the time, and I've still got very fond memories of those games. Now, after that, I kind of fell off on Pokemon. The Game Boy Advance games were good, but to me, they didn't advance the formula very much. I was like, this is kind of just more of the same, but with slightly prettier graphics. And in my head, I was like really hoping for, okay, soon we're going to get a 3D Pokemon RPG. And then when the DS games came out, I was slightly disappointed that they weren't, quite the evolution, for want of a better word, that I wanted as well. However, by that point, I had kids, and I thought that my kids would really get into Pokemon. So I bought them Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and the Pokewalker, what do you call them? The pedometer that counts your steps and everything. I thought that would be a really good thing to encourage them to be more mobile. And also got them the what were they called? Pokemon, the spin-off games that had one on the DS and one on the Mystery Dungeon. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, that's the one. That had one on the Game Boy Advance and one on the DS. I got them those as well, and I actually played those a little bit myself as well. I thought they were really cool. And then my kids were really into Black and White and what was it, Ruby and Pearl. They got really into those as well. So again, I kind of watched from afar and I didn't really play, but I bought the games for them and watched them, and they watched the anime, and I would sometimes watch the anime and the movies and stuff along with them. So I stayed aware of what was going on in Pokemon, even if I didn't play the games fully all the way through. But then I got back into Pokemon with the 3DS. I bought again, my kids were really into the 3DS. I was more of a PSP guy at the time, but my kids both had 3DSs. I bought them, and then when the Super Nintendo themed 3DS XL, or was it new 3DS XL? Anyway, when the one that looked like a Super Nintendo came out, I was like, oh, this is sick. I love this. Okay, I'm going to have to get this. And it just happened to coincide with when our whole family was going to be going on a big trip to America with a very long flight to get there. So I used that as an excuse to buy myself that fancy 3DS, and also a 3DS for my partner at the time. And then bought us all copies of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon so that we could all play together, and played that on the trip. And that was really cool, and I really enjoyed getting back into that, because for me, stepping away from Pokemon, because I was like, okay, the games haven't progressed that much, and I want them to be in 3D, and I want them, really what I wanted was a home console Pokemon game, which, again, and I mentioned earlier, Pokemon Colosseum and Gale of Darkness XD on the GameCube. That was kind of what those were, but not really. They were good, but they weren't exactly what I wanted. I did play them a little bit, but I was really hoping for like a proper fully 3D Pokemon game, fully 3D traditional Pokemon game. But I did really enjoy jumping into Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, because, again, for me, having not seriously played a Pokemon game since Silver and Gold, it did feel like a big leap forward. And I had a lot of fun with that. And then on the Switch One, I played what was it? Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, and I enjoyed that one a lot, actually. Obviously it was kind of simplified and almost like a kind of children's first Pokemon game, I suppose, but I really enjoyed it. I liked the way it went, and it was almost like a kind of 3D traditional Pokemon adventure, kind of like a remake of the original games. Also, Pokemon Snap. Yeah, Pokemon Snap on the N64 was great. I never had it, but my cousins had it, and I played it at their house, and I loved it. And then the new Pokemon Snap on Switch, that was great. I really liked that. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl I didn't bother with. I heard people saying they weren't that great. The reviews weren't wonderful. And I was waiting for a proper new generation, and we'll get onto that in a moment. But Legends Arceus, as I mentioned earlier, I really liked Legends Arceus. I thought that was that showed a lot of potential. It was more kind of open world, or it had open worldish areas, and I liked the kind of more modern and streamlined battle system. I thought that was really good, and I thought, oh, maybe that's how things should be. So then, obviously on Switch 1, we had Pokemon Sword and Shield, which were like the first proper mainlined duality games that were on the a proper home console, if you can call the Switch a home console rather than a portable one, which is what Nintendo wants you to do. They were good, but at the time I was busy and I didn't get a chance to play them as much as I wanted to. But I saw potential in them, and I was really looking forward to Scarlet and Violet. During the previews of Scarlet and Violet, I was looking at the trailers going, oh my god, I love everything about this. I love the visual style, I love the areas, I love the more open worldishness. And I was super hyped, and also I had more free time at the time. I was like, okay, this is going to be the Pokemon game that I play properly. And then we had so many performance problems on the Switch one that I found it I found them practically unplayable, unfortunately. I don't mean to be negative, but yeah, they were just really bad. And everybody was saying, well, no, they weren't. They weren't bad games. They were just the performance was really bad. And everybody was saying, oh, there'll be a patch, there'll be a performance patch. And so far there hasn't been. There's been updates, yes, but the updates haven't fixed the performance. But the Switch 2 is basically your performance patch. If you've paid $500 to get a Switch 2, then you can finally play Scarlet and Violet with a nice frame rate, and it's actually a pleasant experience. So while I haven't had as much time as I'd like to play them properly, I do intend on doing that at some point, because I was really hyped for those games before they came out and then disappointed at the performance. So now there's no excuse. I should play them through properly. I'm sure there's more to say about my history with Pokemon. It might sound like I'm not a big Pokemon fan, but honestly, where I'm sat here, even if I just look around, I can see multiple bits of Pokemon merch, and so I mean, evidently I am, but just very specific things. Maybe it's more of a nostalgic brand, but it's something that every now and again I get into, and I go, right, this is going to be the Pokemon game that I play properly, and I dedicate a lot of time to it, you know. And actually, just yesterday I was looking at a full Pokédex book in French, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I should buy that. That's really cool. I didn't buy it, but I'm strongly thinking about going back and getting it, because it's been playing on my mind ever since, because I think that's really neat. And at the moment I'm collecting French BD, as they call them, like comic books, graphic novels, etc. So yeah, I think we're getting ready to start the direct presentation. So I'm going to stop waffling, and hopefully I can edit this down to be slightly less painful to listen to. And we'll go into the live transition. And if you're listening, you can now watch on YouTube, and you'll see the visuals synced, so you'll know what I'm reacting to. Okay. Oh, hi, Pikachu. That's a cool TV you got there. Almost looks like a CRT TV. It looks like a Pokeball. Nice. Hey.
Hi, Pokemon trainers. I'm Chris
Brown.
Oh,
hi, Chris Brown.
Pokemon Company International.
You're looking a bit
Today,
different.
I'm excited to share details
Changed
about
your
the
career from
2025
R&B.
Pokemon World Championships coming to
Oh, I really
Anaheim,
love that art.
California
That's
from August 15th to 17th.
I love the kind of crazy
We are once
taxi
again thrilled to welcome
going on there.
thousands of trainers from around the world who will battle
And
across
Jigglypuff
the
with a
Pokemon
bow.
Scarlet and Pokemon Violet video games, the Pokemon trading card game, Pokemon Go, and Pokemon Unite. These elite trainers will receive a
So this is
celebratory
Pokemon
promo card
Championships
competing in the Pokemon World
2025.
Championships. Let's take a first look at this year's special artwork for Paradise Resort.
Paradise Resort. Oh, that's cute. So you get an exclusive card when you go as well. That's pretty
We will
cool.
host Championship Sunday in an arena for the very first time.
Oh, so that's so we're in Anaheim. So this is this will be the Anaheim Convention Center on Catella Avenue, which is just opposite Disneyland. I've been there. Yeah, I've been there many times. I attended Star Wars Celebration there, D23, which is Disney's convention. Oh, that's cool, I guess.
During the weekend, fans at home can tune in to the action via
You know, I always think it's really cool when I go to conventions and you see people playing like Pokemon cards and Pokemon battles and joining their Game Boys together, and those are really cool trophies as well. I'd love one of those, but I'm never going to be good enough. Thank you, Chris Brown.
On this island, we want the Pokemon to have as much fun as they'd like.
I loved the first series of Pokemon Concierge.
We'll do our very best to help you feel as comfortable.
Well, already
as
this
possible.
looks more ambitious than the first series. There's far more Pokemon going on screen at the same time.
Oh, I just landed there.
It's super cute. I love the stop motion.
It's all up to you.
This is real stop-motion animation, by the way. This isn't CGI that just made to... Ooh, it's gone a bit dark.
That guy's totally her ex, no doubt.
Ooh, relationship drama.
Moving here helped a lot.
Yeah, so Pokemon Concierge is interesting. I mentioned in my French episode that France is the #2 consumer of anime in the world, and a lot of anime is actually co-productions, and this is just the same. It's American, Japanese and French co-production together. Ooh, again, emotional. And people think Pokemon Concierge. Okay, Concierge is a French name, but it actually amuses me. The French name here, because I live in France, for those who don't know, is La Réceptionniste Pokémon. La Réceptionniste Pokémon. So yeah, I think it's predominantly animated in Japan by Dwarf Studios. It's not Aardman. Aardman, known for stop motion animation, and there was a September. Okay. And there was an announcement that Aardman would be making stop motion okay, speak of the devil, there we go. Not that Peter Lord is the devil's. Peter Lord is a very nice man. I've met him a couple of times in Bristol at animation events. I mentioned in my Donkey Kong review that I trained with Disney and Don Bluth several events over the years, and met Peter Lord, Nick Parks, really nice guys at Aardman, based in Bristol, West Country, near where I grew up. See that armature in the background holding the Pokeball? That's how they hold things, and then digitally remove them afterwards. Just shoot with the prosumer DSLR you see on the tripod on the right there. Looks like maybe a Canon 5D or something similar like that.
I know you'll love it.
You said a region close to our hearts. So what's that? Galar from Sword and Shield, which I think was based on the Lake District in Britain, or the area where you start is the Lake District in Britain. Yeah, that looks like the Lake District. So it's Galar. This looks like a parody of the Shaun the Sheep teaser trailer. Is it? But obviously with a Wooloo rather than Shaun the Sheep. So Shaun the Sheep, you might know Wallace and Gromit. That's a Pichu there, and Sirfetch'd, is it? Yeah, you might know Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run, Flashed Away. I remember I first heard of them with Creature Comforts in the 80s. Really groundbreaking at the time. Yeah, Sirfetch'd and Pichu. The Misadventures of Sirfetch'd and Pichu. Okay, well, that looks really cool. 2027 is a long way away, but... real handmade stop motion takes a lot of time, and Aardman do it all properly, all by hand. There's no cheating. Not that the Dwarf Studios guys cheat either.
I'd like to share the latest information about PokéPark Kanto.
PokéPark Kanto. Okay, a PokéPark. So that's a place to visit. You notice he mentioned there. They're going to be covering games in this presentation before talking about yet another thing that's not a game. Some people will be frustrated, but the first outdoor Pokemon attraction. Okay. With a lot of these Nintendo-related presentations, they show tourist attractions that they know the majority of English-speaking people won't actually ever go to, but they always look cool. So it's a part of an existing theme park, Yomiuri Land, bit like how the Mario and Donkey Kong things are part of existing Universal parks. They're not, entirely Nintendo theme parks. They're existing theme parks, and they just build lands within them. Okay, so we've got two mini lands. It looks like you've got some flat rides there. Small land with flat rides, looks like a Dumbo roundabout clone with Pikachus, and a themed merry-go-round or carousel. Big show building of some kind, loads of little shops or huts for fairground style games. Presumably it's all going to be themed like a town in Pokemon games. But the larger area looked more like there we go, kind of gardens and forests. Nice scale model here. Yeah, Pokemon Forest, okay. And there's the town, so it's all going to be shops and things like that. Nice fountains and stuff. And again, Pokemon. I wonder whether they're going to be animatronic or... Oh, there we go. So they're just life-size models, not animatronics. But still, that's cool. When I was little, I used to go to a small fairground in a place in Wales called... Oh, I love that art. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I used to go to a small fairground in a place in Wales called Porthcawl. There was a park nearby which had like fiberglass dinosaurs. They were fallen into disrepair, sadly. Yeah, they're not there anymore. But I used to love running around and exploring and seeing all the dinos. So it said early 2026. That's sooner than I was thinking, considering they're just showing a scale model. Presumably it's nowhere near built. Don't try this at home. Yeah, thanks, because I was going to jump out of a plane at home. That plane I have in my backyard. Pokemon Go Fest 2025 Max Finale. Oh yeah, because it's ending, isn't it? 23rd and 24th of August, so 2-day event. Presumably that's a weekend. You know, I haven't played Pokemon Go for many years, but I did really get into it for a while. I think everyone did, didn't they? I'm not typically a mobile gamer, but the whole AR thing was a really cool idea. I remember walking around Cardiff and Doctor Who and Torchwood sets, etc., trying to find Pokemon, going to Coffee Number 1, Dwayne Hoffy Coffee. So what's happening to Pokemon Go when the app finishes? Will you be able to open it and see your Pokédex and everything you caught? I hope so, for the people that still play and care about it. And Vanera, for sure. What are we looking at here? This is a game, but it looks... Pokémon Masters X. Masters EX, not Masters Sex. Login to receive gems. So that's a mobile game. Okay, sorry, don't really care about mobile games, especially free to play. And this is another mobile game by the look of it. What is this? At least the art style is kind of cute. I like this. The 3D models of the last one weren't that great. Oh. I do love me a Jigglypuff. Pokemon Café Remix. Yeah, sorry, I haven't heard of this, and I'm not a mobile gamer, as I said. So, okay, Pokemon Sleep, another mobile thing. Like, I mean, this one I have heard of. It's a nice idea, but I just don't trust apps that track your health data, especially not free ones. If the app is free, then you are the product. These renders do look really nice, though. Very cute, very cool the way the characters are integrated in the footage. Or is it? Is it all CG? I can't tell, probably. Oh, look at him. Yeah, either way, it's lit nicely. 4th anniversary of what? Pokemon? Oh, Pokemon Unite. Ugh. I remember when this launched, it was so scummy as far as all the costs and the microtransactions, and yeah, I just refused to play it. I didn't even know it was still going, to be honest. Does look cute, but it's not for me. Sorry. Okay, Pokemon card game. Is this a trading card game, or are we looking at actual cards? Oh, those are beautiful. Yeah, I've not bought Pokemon cards for many years. You know, not since the late 90s. But you know what? Those look gorgeous. But no, I mustn't get into them. It's too addictive, buying card packs and sticker packs and things like this. No. You know, we blasted through those 4 mobile games super quickly, and this is a long presentation. So this. Please take a look is usually code for this is a real game, not a mobile app. So yeah, is it time for a real console game? Connect the bulbs. Oh, so yeah, so this is the kind of rumored thing that I said. Yeah, so it's a puzzle game, and it's available on mobile phones and on Switch, and presumably Switch to Pokémon Friends. Okay, so there's multiple different types of puzzles. I like these plushies; they're super cute. What is there to say about this? It's lots of puzzle mini games, locomotion, Pipe Mania style stuff. That's kind of cute. I like the isometric. Yeah, there's a lot of variety going on. So what is this? Is it like a...
Use the plush you get from solving puzzles to decorate your
Okay, and you can get stuff to decorate your little room. So is this is something that you boot up every day? You come back to every day to do like a little brain teaser style thing. Okay, it's cute.
Pokémon Friends is a puzzle game where players enjoy the thrill of realization
So it's a
while
bit
untangling their thoughts.
brain
Every day
training,
you
Professor
play is a chance to
Layton
untangle
sort
your
of,
next Eureka
and you can get it on the Switch, but it's digital
Pokémon
only,
Friends will be
unfortunately.
available on Nintendo Switch, iOS,
Although who
and Android
would pay
after
for
this
that?
broadcast.
I don't know. Oh, so it's a shadow drop. It's out
You'll
today.
download it and give it a try.
Out today. That's cool. I mean, it's nice that it's on the Switch as well, but it's the kind of thing that actually looks like it lends itself more to a mobile game. It's not a
A free
real
update
game in
for the
inverted
Nintendo
commas.
Switch 2 system is
Okay,
available
so
for Pokémon
obviously
Scarlet
this
and Pokémon
is
Violet
a real game, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
When playing on Nintendo
It doesn't
Switch
look
2,
like we've got any
you'll be
new
able to enjoy
content
smoother
here. This is
movement
just
and
telling
even
us
sharper
about the
graphics.
free updates on the Switch 2 that we already know
We
about.
hope you try visiting the Paldea
But
region
as
on
I
Nintendo
mentioned
Switch 2 as
before,
well.
I found Scarlet and Violet. I was really looking forward to those games, and then I found them completely unplayable, really, on Switch 1 because of the performance issues, and they are much better with the free updates on Switch 2. And
New
thank
Terra
goodness
Raid
that
Battle
the
Event
Switch
series will kick off
2
in Pokémon
updates
Scarlet
are
and
free.
Pokémon Violet tomorrow.
Okay, so we've got some.
These Terra Raid battle events
So it's
will
not new
feature
content,
shiny
but we do have some,
Shiny
events happening
Shiny
within the
Chibi,
game on
and
Scarlet and
Shiny
Violet.
Chi.
Looks like it's
But
raid
just winning the
battles.
Terra Raid battles won't be enough
I
to get
d-
these 4 Pokémon.
I just, sorry, I don't care
You'll be
about
able to
raid
add
battles
each one
and
to your team
online
only
events and
after it's
things,
been
but
defeated
I'm sure
1
some people do
million
and get really
times.
into it. So
Everyone
it's
will have
cool.
to work
It's cool.
together to
Free
obtain the
content, free
treasures of
events, free things to do is always cool. But
Pokemon Mass Outbreak events will also be occurring at the same time. And that's not all.
you can get a
We're also giving away
free
a tracksuit apparel item.
a
So we
free
hope you continue to
tracksuit.
enjoy adventuring in the
Wow.
Paldea region.
Yeah, it's that doesn't
Next, allow me
really
to share
count
some
as
information about
as
Pokémon
new
Champions.
content for the game, does it? But well, maybe it does. Maybe some people will be really excited. Sorry, I don't mean to be negative. Okay, now again, this looks more like a real game. Did he say what this was? Was I talking over? Oh, Pokemon Champions. Okay, right. This is a game that was announced during the last Pokemon. What are they called? Not Direct. Pokemon Presents. So, like Pokemon Friends, it's both for Switch and mobile, and that somewhat makes me less interested. You can link Pokemon from Pokemon Home or borrow Pokemon, so it's essentially the equivalent of the old N64 Pokemon Stadium battles and using the transfer pack. So that's cool. I love those games back in the day, like I said, but I mean, as of today, when we already have the full 3D mainline games, I'm not quite sure what the point of this game is. I suppose so you can battle with more people and online and stuff with your phone, maybe. But the interface looks very mobile-ish as well, doesn't it? And the fact it's a mobile title as well as the Switch version makes me worry it will be filled with microtransactions. The battling graphics look quite nice, though they haven't said anything about a specific Switch 2 version, so it would be nice if we got better graphics on the Switch 2. So you can just adjust the stats yourself. That's weird. That has the potential to make things far too easy. Yeah, and abused by microtransactions too. Yeah, I don't think it's won me over, sorry. But more interesting to me than the other mobile stuff. Come on.
Last up, we have some news
Thank
about
you,
the Pokémon
yes.
Legends Z-A game. Please have a look at this video.
This is the whole reason I've been watching, to be honest with you. This is what I actually care about. Okay, that looks nice. Nice effects. Everything's very smooth, great frame rate. I'm happy about that. I like the Eiffel Tower, Prism Tower thing. So it's the game is based in Lumiouse City, which is from the Kalos region, which is Pokemon X and Y, I think. As I said, I didn't play that one, but my kids did. But it's loosely based on Paris with the kind of circular. Oh, this looks great. I like it. Yeah, they're kind of circular pizza slice wheel with spokes sections surrounding the arrondissement. I think the layout is based on the Place de Charles de Gaulle, but l'Arc de Triomphe is replaced to Prism Tower, which is obviously inspired by the Eiffel Tower. And the version of the city in Z-A is based on the Houseman renovations of renovations of Paris. So we're going to have a very, very interesting mix of styles of architecture. Obviously, I'm pretty excited for a French-esque AAA Pokemon game. I'm, francophile, and I live in France. I know Paris very well. I work there all the time. And
Pokémon Legends
yeah,
Z-A.
this looks a bit of me.
I'd like to introduce this game,
C'est vachement
Summarising,
français, ça.
which takes place in a city striving to be somewhere that belongs to both people and Pokémon. After you arrive in Lumiouse
Yeah,
City, either
yeah,
Urbane or
even that
Flyers
train
will
station
invite
looks
you to
very
join
French.
Team MC.
The characters, yeah, the fashions,
Team
the
MC's
names.
objective is to protect the city
Urbane.
of Lumiouse. Let's get to know Team MZ a little better. There's Naveen,
Naveen, a fashion designer,
in Illumi.
of course.
And there's Lita, who aspires to become a professional dancer.
Professional dancer,
As
of
part
course.
Team MZ,
Yeah, they
spend
really
your
went all
days
in
in
with
Lumiouse
the
City with this
Frenchness.
crew.
This is really cool though. It looks great. By day and night.
Lumiouse City looks different by day and by
Nice.
night. During the day, you can explore the city and find lots of Pokémon
Yes,
to
I
add to
can,
your
and
party.
yes, I will. I love the battling system of
Then, by night, you can compete in the Z-A Royale with the Pokemon you've raised.
the
aiming
battling
to
system
climb
of
the ranks.
Arceus. I really liked that, as I said in my introduction.
As you advance in the Z-A Royale,
Yeah,
battles
I
against
like this
powerful
idea of
trainers await.
switching between playstyles during day and night.
One of those trainers,
That's really
Corbeau,
neat.
is the boss of the Rust
Corbeau.
Syndicate, an
Yeah,
organization
Corbeau
operating in
is,
Lumiouse
for those that don't know, Corbeau
It
is
seems like
French
he has
for
some kind
crow.
of business with the members
So,
of the
yeah, the head of this kind of French mafia is literally the crow. He is the Prince of Darkness.
Lumiouse City offers
So
plenty
many
to
of
have fun
these
aside from Pokemon
these
battles,
landmarks
too.
are based on
Trainers can
parts
change
of
their hairstyle,
front. Nice.
looks, and outfit
Yeah,
to appear
obviously,
however you would like with
obviously,
each
in
go
the
around
French
the city.
Pokemon, you had to have more customizable,
If you've teamed up with a
have
fur
more
fruit, a Pokemon
customizable
with
fashion
distinctive
and
long fur,
hairstyles, and
you can even have
oh,
it
you
trimmed
could
into
even
fashionable
customize the
styles.
dog hairstyles.
You can also take
Oh,
photos at
that's so
interesting spots,
cool.
or relax and hang out
That's
with
so
your Pokemon
cool,
if
and
you
it
like.
totally tracks. It totally tracks with the French Pokemon. This is great. Yeah, I really like this. Obviously, this is
All
going to appeal
kinds
to
of
me
encounters
specifically,
await
but
you in Lumiouse City.
hopefully other people will
Emma,
think this
the
is
best
cool as well.
detective in Lumiouse,
Oh
finds
man,
you help
detective
with
side
work.
quests. I recently reviewed Rydell, and I previewed Konami Date
find
too.
people around the
Both
city who need a
times I
hand
said
and
that I
solve their
like
problems.
detective style gameplay. And in the first Legends game, Arceus, the side quests were really good and
Mabel is
really
the acting
well fleshed out.
director of the Pokemon
I
Research
said at the
Lab.
time, Arceus felt less like a spin-off
catching
and more like a
Pokemon, you
neat
can aid
new
in
direction for the
research.
full game.
In
So,
return, you can
and the
receive
new
useful
battling style
items
as well,
for your
like
adventures in this game.
this looks really, really cool to me. This looks fantastic. An anomaly unfolding across the city.
Something strange
I love
is
the
occurring in
particle
Lumiouse
effects and the
City
lighting
recently.
effects. Yeah, the graphics are, you know,
Some wild
they're
Pokemon
more
have been
they're
mega
simple,
evolved
aren't they?
on
They're
their
not
own
really
and going
pushing the
rogue.
switch to, but they're very,
These
very
so-called
smooth
rogue,
and
mega-evolved
yeah, it
Pokemon
looks
can't contain their own strength and are
looks
the
really
very
nice.
definition of dangerous.
Rogue Mega Evolutions,
To
Rogue
take
Mega
them on,
Evolved. So
you'll
yeah.
need to fight Mega Evolution with
So yeah,
Mega
we have
Evolution.
the new Dragonite.
One newly discovered
New Dragonite.
Pokemon, Mega Dragonite, has distinctive dragon.
Yeah, he is like a Dragonair, isn't he? Yeah. So I don't believe we've ever seen a Mega Evolved Dragonite before. Are we going to see any other new Mega Evolutions revealed? Paris sur la Seine. C'est très belle. Nice.
Seeking for people and Pokemon to coexist.
Oh, a story theme of Pokemon and people coexisting
Pokémon
together
Legends
and equality,
Z-A, coming
égalité,
Thursday, October
fraternité.
16, 2025.
C'est très français, ça, ouais. Très bien. No, sorry Nintendo, I am not buying it digitally. I'm a physical collection guy. I don't care if you give me your
What did you
balls.
think? Pokemon Legends Z-A
What did I
is
think?
releasing on
Yeah, honestly,
October
I thought it looked
16,
great. Yeah, I'm
2025.
hyped. I'm hyped. I was already sold because
hope
I
you're
loved
looking forward
Arceus
to
and
your new
improved performance of
adventures
the
in
Pokemon
Lumiouse
games
City.
on Switch 2. Makes me a lot more likely to play
That's all for
seriously.
today's
This looks
presentation.
awesome. Really nice.
Thank you very
Now, it
much
might
for
just
tuning
now
in.
be my #1 most anticipated game for Switch 2. Between that and Sonic Racing Crossworlds, but we don't even know when that's releasing yet, do we? So, no one last thing? No? Okay, bye Pikachu. Thank you. Okay, let's take a minute to grab a coffee, gather my thoughts, and I will be back with my final summary and some more in-depth thoughts on the Direct as a whole, or the Pokemon Presents as a whole, sorry, and Z-A. Z-A, Z-A. I'm never sure where my allegiances lie there. So what are my thoughts on the presentation? I've made some notes, so hopefully there will be a bit less ums and hesitations in this bit. Sorry about that. Overall, I thought it was good. I do. We have to keep expectations low with these and not expect as many huge reveals and big games as a Nintendo Direct. In fact, the biggest reveals of Pokemon tend to be saved for Pokemon Day, specifically. Also important for Switch 1 and Switch 2 fans to remember that this is a Pokemon presentation, and therefore a large amount will be dedicated to media, merchandise, mobile games, etc., not just Switch stuff. With that in mind, we actually had a decent amount of content, and I couldn't be more excited for Legends Z-A. I'll cover that last, of course, as it's the bigger one. I think the presentation went well from a technical standpoint. The only weird choice or hiccup to me was the fact that the DJ Pikachu set, which I did think was cool, I did enjoy, it didn't lead straight into the live stream. It didn't even have a link to it at the end. When it finished, you had to scramble around trying to find the new link, and I'm sure many people didn't see the first minute or so of the presentation as they were confused and trying to find the right link after just having the DJ set playing and assuming that that was what they were supposed to be watching. I did check beforehand, and there was no link to queue up for the actual presentation on the Pokemon YouTube channel, only DJ Pikachu. If they wanted them as separate videos, they really should have had both clearly signposted so people could queue them up, and then also have a clear link and card to click at the end of the Pikachu one. Perhaps they did have all that for the Japanese versions or other countries, but on the English language channel, it was just very confusing. For me, I only got to the main video about 30 seconds late, so I just rewound the stream a little bit. It was possible to do that. I noticed 275,000 concurrent viewers at one point, so that's pretty awesome, and that was just on the English language one. I didn't have the chat open as I didn't want to be distracted, but I imagine much of the reaction was mostly pretty good. Because there were a lot of things revealed and a lot of variety of quality announcements, as long as you weren't expecting too much. I predicted that we wouldn't get a Gen 10 reveal, and I was right. Obviously, they want to keep all the hype for Z-A, and I'm totally fine with that. As I said in the intro, I think next year is the 30th anniversary, so I would expect that they will want Gen 10 to be released then, or at least a big announcement then. I'd hope that they really go all out to make Gen 10 special, though, as I've repeatedly said now, I actually found that I couldn't really play Scarlet and Violet on Switch 1 when they first released because of the performance, and the fact they play so much better on the Switch 2 means that I'm looking forward to actually playing those properly. And they will be my first real, in inverted commas, mainline Pokemon game that I've played through since Ultra Sun Moon. So I'm looking forward to that. But I hope with the extra power of Switch 2 and the fact that it's the 30th anniversary, I do hope that Gen 10 will be a significant evolution for the series, pun intended. Part of the reason I don't tend to play every generation of Pokemon games properly is that they often feel too iterative, to me at least. And it's nice to get back into the games every few years and feel a real kind of leap forward in scope. I predicted that we would get a release date or even shadow drop maybe for Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness for GameCube Online, and that didn't happen, despite them already being revealed as being on the way. So I guess that they might be saving them for next year for the 30th anniversary too. Personally, as far as Switch Online stuff goes, I think it would be really cool if they'd add mainline games and allow battling and transferring. That would be really neat. I don't see it happening, but personally, I'd really like it if they add the N64 Stadium games and allow using the save games from the Game Boy games. And maybe even playing the Game Boy games with the Stadium games, like through Stadium, with the border, etc., like with the transfer pack. That's how I played the majority of Blue and Silver for the most of my playtime. So I have a lot of nostalgia for that setup. One thing that wasn't mentioned in the presentation itself, but I see was announced online at the same time or just after, is that Nintendo are releasing a Pokémon Z-A Switch 2 bundle for $500, the same price as the Mario Kart World bundle. In fact, it might even be replacing the Mario Kart bundle, which they always said was a limited time deal, not sure. On the one hand, I think this is really smart. Many people will buy the system to play the game, so I can see kids asking for this for Christmas, etc. On the other hand, it's a little weird, given that it's a cross-platform game, being that it'll still be available for Switch 1 as well. The Donkey Kong Bonanza bundle would have made more sense to me, as it's a true exclusive, but of course Pokemon is Pokemon. It's the #1 franchise in the world. One thing that it also says to me is perhaps we can extrapolate from this that even though it's releasing on October 16th, as will the bundle, Nintendo is thinking of Pokemon Z-A as its big first-party-ish holiday game. A lot of people have been expecting a Nintendo Direct with more big first-party titles coming soon to flesh out the release schedule, and I've repeatedly said that I think that might not be the case. They've openly said that Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, Metroid Prime 4 and more took them far longer to develop than games for previous generations, and that they're trying to find ways to speed up the development process. But I think for now we shouldn't expect huge first-party exclusives constantly like we got with Switch 1, which, as I always say, was even more prominent phenomena if you include all the Wii U re-releases as new games, which most casual Nintendo fans will have done. This generation will have a much slower rollout, and that's why Donkey Kong Bonanza was such an important title. Thankfully, they knocked it out of the park. And now the next big system-selling title is seemingly Pokemon Z-A. For me, yeah, that totally works. I'm really hyped for it, and I think it looks fantastic. There is that weird feeling that PS5 had, where many of its biggest games were also available on the PS4. So having Z-A as the flagship game for Christmas, while parents might say, but you can play that on your Switch 1, means it's not necessarily a system seller, but it's a very nice game for those that already bought the console. And maybe this bundle is Nintendo's way of trying to entice some of those parents to see it as a predominantly Switch 2 game and making the price a little cheaper to justify the purchase. It should be said that this bundle is not limited or special edition console in any way. It's not a Pokemon-themed Switch 2 or anything, nor is the game cartridge or box included. It's just the same as the Mario Kart bundle, where it's just the normal console with a download code or preloaded license or whatever. So unless you're trying to collect all the cardboard sleeve variants to go outside the standard box, there is no reason to buy this version if you already own a Switch 2. I was half expecting a Pokemon-themed Switch 2 console to be announced, but again, I think maybe they're saving that for the 30th anniversary next year. To quickly go back through what I thought of the early parts of the presents, well, as I've repeatedly said, I'm not a mobile gamer, so none of that stuff really interests me much, I'm afraid, though I did think that the Pokémon Sleep advert was beautifully made. I loved the art style of that. I thought it looked great. I know Pokémon Unite is technically available on Switch, but that game is so exploitative with microtransactions, etc., that I've just point-blank refused to play it since launch. And I'm not going to start now, 4 years later. The animation stuff was way more interesting to me. The Aardman teaser was very basic and perhaps a little underwhelming to have, especially directly after the Concierge footage, but it's not releasing until 2027, and any new Aardman project is always something to get hyped about, in my opinion. As I said, as an animator myself and someone that grew up near the Aardman studios, I've met Peter Lord a few times, and it was really bizarre but cool to see him in the presentation. As for Concierge, it looks incredible. I love the first episodes, and these new ones look to have really stepped up the complexity, how many Pokemon are on screen at once, etc. And I was surprised how much emotion and plot they seem to be putting into them too. I totally welcome that. I can't remember if I mentioned this when doing my improvised chat to fill time while waiting, but even if I did, it's worth saying again that Concierge backs up what I covered in detail in my French episode, that many people don't realize how many animes are French co-productions, and Concierge is Japanese, American, and French co-production. Many people think of concierge as a French word, of course, but it's pretty funny to me that the French title of the series is actually La Réceptionniste Pokémon. Many people learning French are surprised how many French words are the same or very similar as English, around 37% in fact, and receptionist is one of them. The fact it's receptionniste is just because there's an E at the end to show that she is female. Concierge is a word that does exist in French, but it's more for a caretaker, someone who does things like cleaning, mail delivery, maintenance, etc. But because the word sounds fancy to English ears, expensive hotels use concierge as a more fancy word for a receptionist that perhaps offers a slightly more tailored service. It's often the case that French words are used in English-speaking places to imply something luxurious or deluxe, a word that also comes from French, by the way, de luxe, of luxury. Often these French words are things that have a more mundane or day-to-day meaning in France, and it can be amusing. Examples I can think of off the top of my head would be boutique for a fancy shop, chauffeur for a fancy driver, cuisine for fancy dining, lingerie for fancy underwear. In French, they just mean a normal shop, driver, kitchen, or food, or underwear, or even just laundry. Lingerie. There's a million other examples. Salon springs to mind, salon. Anyway, we should move on. PokéPark Kanto looked really cool. Obviously, not a huge budget theme park or anything, just a relatively simple area in an existing smaller theme park. The rides are just like rethemed kiddie flat rides, and the walkthrough isn't animatronics, it's just still models. But as I said, when I was little, I used to go to a semi-permanent theme park of sorts in Wales, in a town called Porthcawl, and it's actually just a load of travelling fairground rides semi-permanently installed in a car park. But I always loved it, and right next to it there used to be this little park with fiberglass dinosaurs, and I absolutely loved exploring that when I was little. So this kind of thing with Pokemon will be really cool for those with a big imagination, whether kids or kids at heart. It's definitely somewhere that I will want to check out. I wouldn't travel to Japan specifically for it, but I do go for work purposes every few years, and when I do, I will 100% check it out if I get the chance. Even if I know it's all going to be gift shops and overpriced restaurants, it will be a trip to walk around a real Pokemon town. I liked the fact I saw several fountains in the design, so it won't just be flat concrete and basic buildings. Actually, the more I talk about it, the more I want to go. They often include these Japanese tourist attractions in Nintendo presentations for Westerners. I wonder how many people actually go to Japan to visit the Nintendo Museum, Super Nintendo World Universal, Kirby cafes, etc. Not many, I imagine, because of the price of flights, etc. But I guess promoting it all, even to people that will never visit, helps to build your brand. I grew up in the UK in the 80s and 90s, and before Disneyland Paris was built in 1992, there was basically no possible affordable way that the average British kid could expect their parents to take them to a Disney theme park, as the flights to Florida or California were literally more than the price of a car at the time. But that didn't stop them advertising like all the freaking time and setting kids' TV shows there, etc. And I'm sure the fact that so many kids grew up wishing to visit the parks, but seeing it as like an impossible dream, was maybe part of what created so many Disney adults and such brand loyalty. So perhaps that is part of the thought process for Nintendo here. Not much to say about the other stuff that they showed early on. Other than, as I said, it's cool that the Pokemon event is happening in the Anaheim Convention Center for the first time. I've been there many times for things like Star Wars Celebration, D23, various anime, gaming, Comic-Cons, etc. for my work. And it's a really great space. It's just opposite Disneyland, very convenient. The fact this is their first time in a proper convention center shows that it must be growing from strength to strength. So that's awesome for them. As for the proper Switch and Switch 2 related stuff, the big reveal, in inverted commas, was Pokémon Friends. I'm a bit mixed on it, as you probably heard in my reactions. I think for little kids, this will be a cool thing to do each day, though they did make an effort to show that the puzzles have difficulty modes that would be hard for adults as well. I did like the aesthetic. I love the idea of collecting Pokemon plushies to fill your various themed rooms, and the renders were really cute. And I was genuinely surprised at how much variety there was in the puzzles. But let's be real, I didn't see any single puzzle that was actually unique and not something we've literally played a million times before in free mobile or online flash games. I said when I was watching it that even though usually I'm not a mobile gamer, and I am glad that there is a Switch version available, it actually kind of looks like a game more suited to playing on mobiles or tablets. By that, I meant that it's a touchscreen game, so it's not really something you'd want to play docked. And also the fact that it's a pick up and play for just a few minutes every day kind of thing, it just suits a mobile app better. You might play it every morning while waiting for your coffee to boil or while waiting for your bus to work, etc. However, I saw afterwards that it's free on mobile, but the Switch version is $7.99. Does this imply that the Switch version is somehow more rounded or fuller featured? Or that the mobile version has adverts or microtransactions at the wazoo that the Switch version doesn't? It shadow dropped and is out now, so I guess these questions will be answered very shortly. But if I'm honest, my initial impression is that I'm probably not really interested in either way. As regular listeners will know, I'm mostly a physical collector guy, and as this is digital only, it would need to be really special to interest me. Frankly, though, it does look fun and nicely polished, so if they do put out a physical Switch copy for, say, $20, I guess I'd actually be a lot more likely to pick up a copy, and maybe I would get into the habit of playing a little bit every day, brain training or Big Brain Academy style. I am getting on a bit, so perhaps I need to keep my old grey matter working. Edit, insert, edit. Jesus Christ. As I was editing this, I saw an update that the $7.99 price was pounds and it's $10 US. And there is paid DLC for the Switch version. $15 for Puzzle Pack 1, another $15 for Puzzle Pack 2, $26 for the bundle of the two, and if you want everything right away, including the game itself, it's $34. Holy crap. I'm sorry, but for a digital-only game with simple 2D flash game-style puzzles, that is actually insulting. As I said, $20 for a physical copy I could cope with. Maybe I'd go as high as $30 if the cover art was really, really nice and it's a substantial amount of content, but that's really pushing it. $34 for a digital-only game that is this simple is just insanity. I'm sorry, but I went from I might be interested to absolutely not. But still, it's out now. Let me know in the comments if you've played it, whether you're playing on mobile or Switch, and if you are, what do you think so far? Is the free mobile version super limited, full of ads or microtransactions? Is the Switch version worth paying for? Presumably not $34, but if you just got the $10 version, does it feel worth it? Let me know. Anyway, back to the younger, less cynical me before I learned this depressing but predictable information. Another game for both Switch and mobile is Pokémon Champions. Again, if there was a physical version, I'd be a little more interested. And the battling graphics did look pretty cool. But as I said, I'm kind of struggling to understand what the point in the game is nowadays. Like, at the time of Pokémon Stadium, there was a real novelty factor of taking our little pixely, non-animated Pokemon from the 8-bit games and suddenly rendering them in 3D and battling them on a big TV screen. But we've had proper full-fat Pokemon games in 3D and on home consoles for many years now. Having a game that is only Pokemon battling is somewhat confusing to me. I understand that it's cool for online battles, multiplayer battling, etc., but can't you just do this with the current games anyway? I don't know, because it's not really my kind of thing, but I'm mostly a single-player campaign kind of Pokemon guy, if I'm honest. But for those who are excited about it, I'm glad it exists. And I will always welcome a game coming to the real consoles and not just being locked to mobiles, even if I'm always suspicious of free-to-play games. As for real games, in inverted commas, i.e. The console exclusives and mainline titles, they covered the free Switch 2 performance updates to Scarlet and Violet, and as I've mentioned, I do really appreciate them. I really would love it if they did the same for Legends Arceus, Sword and Shield, even Shining Diamond and Brilliant Pearl. We can but hope, but honestly, for me, it's all about Legends Z-A, Z-A. I can't settle on which one to say, can I? I keep getting them confused. I guess all we're left with is Z-A, Z-A. For me, that was what I was excited for, and the reason why I watched the presentation in the first place. I definitely was not disappointed. Personally, for me, it raised my hype level significantly. Yes, it still looks like a Switch 1 game. Yes, the graphics aren't like this incredible generation leap, but of course it's cross-platform, it's not going to. The important thing for me was it's running well, it's very smooth, and it looks nice. I can imagine people thinking that there wasn't much new revealed. What, a Mega Dragonite, and that's about it. I've also seen some saying that the locations look a bit basic or plain when compared to the much more kind of open environments, landscapes, etc. of some of the other games. I know I have a definite bias as someone who deeply loves France and studies French language, culture, history, architecture, fashion, literature, etc. But to me, there was so much that I saw and I wanted to talk about in the footage. It was almost overwhelming. One thing I didn't have time to mention when I was talking about the game before is that, like usual, the name of the city is a pun or reference based on its real-world influences. So Lumiouse City comes from Paris's reputation as the city of lights, lumière being the French for light, and that's why the character in Beauty and the Beast is called that. He's a candlestick, so light. And then grandiose, which in French means spectacular or awe-inspiring. And funnily enough, in English, often means kind of extra or show-offy. And I think both work in the context of Paris, to be honest. Interestingly, it's not called Lumiouse City in French. We spoke in my French episode about how Asterix uses different names for the French characters, places, and potions in each language. So there are puns inherent to each culture, as does Harry Potter. And it's the same with Pokemon. So while in the English language we have a name that sounds French, Lumiouse, and references Frenchisms that English people are likely to know, in French the city is called Illumi, from La Ville Lumière and Illumination, literally the city of lights and illumination, another word that is the same in English and French, just pronounced slightly differently. I noticed it's also called Illumi in Dutch too. Perhaps if she is listening, our friend Buttons and Boxes can let us know if it works in Dutch too, or if you guys usually keep the French names. I know a lot of people in the Netherlands do speak French, so that's quite possible. I can't possibly cover everything from the trailer here. I think I'll have to do a whole separate video. Perhaps I'll even go to Paris and film all the things that are being referenced in the Pokemon footage. Maybe even get my good friend Nelly, a French teacher who's literally written a guidebook on Paris to give us some context. Let me know in the comments if that would be something you're interested in. And check out Nelly on YouTube too, by the way. Français avec Nelly. Francais AVECNELLY. Français avec Nelly. French with Nelly. She is an amazing teacher and a genuinely lovely person. And she has like 600,000 subscribers, so she's way more famous than me online, so I'm hardly giving her a bump here. She's much prettier than me too. Go say hi if you want to learn French. She's awesome. I'll put the link in the description and pinned comments. I really like the idea of the storyline of the game with the crime syndicate kind of run by Corbeau. Again, I find it funny that they picked the French word for crow. And the detective side missions are right up my alley, and I think both will encourage you to really explore the city. And being that it's stylized as Paris, I'm super excited to do exactly that. While I didn't see much countryside or exploring of landscapes, Paris is a city that lends itself far more to interesting visuals than many, because France has a culture of lots of things being outside. Typically, people think of coffee shops, bistros, etc. having seats and tables outside rather than people eating or drinking inside. Many little parks and areas for people to just hang out in the city, all the stuff around the Seine, bridges, etc. We saw a lot of that in the trailer. So it was certainly not just concrete floors and flat skyscraper buildings, lots of greens, lots of statues and details. I noticed tennis courts. I wonder if there'll also be pétanque or boule courts. That would be cool to see. I think the Olympics last year did a really great job of showing why Paris is a pretty unique, varied, and visually interesting city. I wonder if this was any influence on Z-A at all during development. I mean, I'm sure the development started before that, but I think, in fact, I'm sure they picked up some ideas. Again, the extra emphasis on fashion, hairstyles, even styling your Pokemon, being able to give them poodle-style haircuts, it's all very French too, but in ways that I think actually add a lot of replay value and visual variety to the game. I like that there is a real emphasis on being part of a team, both with other humans and with Pokemon, and the treatment of the Pokemon and seeing them as equals is really nice to see. Liberté, égalité, fraternité. It's all a far cry from the single person goes on an adventure by himself, captures animals and forces them to do his bidding that I thought was cool, but also kind of uncomfortable when I first played Pokemon Blue way back in the day, before I watched the anime and saw Ash and Misty, etc. being kind to their Pokemon and treating them like pets. As we covered in my French episode, where I went to multiple French shops to see what merch we could find for Nintendo properties, Pokemon is extremely popular here, so I hope the fact that the new Pokemon game is set in France will really capture people's imaginations. I'll be interested to see what the promotion is like here in France specifically, and if more emphasis is put on this particular game or the French aspects of it. I did go to the Nintendo France YouTube, and I looked at the comments under the trailer, and there was a lot of negativity of people, talking about, oh, these graphics don't look very good, oh, this looks like a GameCube game, etc. And yeah, okay. The French people, there's a stereotype that French people speak their mind. They don't worry about being polite. They will complain about things. But, I think hopefully the people who are Pokemon fans and know what to expect with a modern Pokemon game as far as graphics and things, and can get past the fact that they wish it looked better. I hope that the French Pokemon fans will appreciate the fact that French culture is being explored in a Pokemon game, and that'll be exciting to them. Certainly it's exciting to me. Outside of the Frenchness or the plots, and just talking about the gameplay itself, I mean, we didn't really see too much new, but I already know that I like the recent Pokemon games, and I really enjoyed Legends Arceus especially, so I've no reason to assume that I won't enjoy this equally as much. I like the idea of the gameplay changing up between night and day cycles. I think that will keep things interesting. It's something I often do in my own games. For those that don't know, I'm a game dev. And in my own games, I often have a day or night cycle because it means that you're constantly changing up the gameplay style rather than doing the same thing constantly. But at the same time, the gameplay that you're enjoying just now before things changes will come back around again the next day. So you're never left wishing you had more of whatever gameplay style just changed, So, God, I can see we're quite late here. So let's wrap it up. Overall, I thought this was a really solid Pokemon Presents. I think from all the ones that I've watched, this was the most in-depth with the most variety of things overall, and a lot of games covered, especially if you care about mobile titles. And Pokemon Z-A looks absolutely amazing to me. It was already a game that I was hyped for being that I've been in the mood to play a proper Pokemon game, but disappointed with the performance of many of them on the Switch 1. So I've been kind of thinking, wow, on the Switch 2, I'll get back into Pokemon and I'll play properly. What did you think? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you very much. And if you want to, you could even come and join our free members area where you can chat to me, make suggestions, and you can enter our free monthly competitions to win little official Nintendo prizes. This month we've got 6 cool Nintendo things to give away, 3 little bits of Nintendo stationery, some question block stuff, and 3 little minifigures, a Mario, a Luigi, and a Cheep to hang on your bag. It's really, really cute. And again, it's absolutely free to enter. It's just something that I do for fun, trying to build up a little community there. You can find all the links to support the show or to listen anywhere at linktree/dailyswitch2. That's linktr.ee/dailyswitch2. I hope to see you all there, guys. And thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.